All right, welcome back to Tailgate with the Tullies. I'm CJ, and I'm here with Francisco Rojas. Francisco, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What's up, CJ? I'm currently we're at the same place,
Mm-hmm.
WCHE, great radio station. I know you're working with Eric a lot. Shout out
Yep.
to Eric, the great Eric Clambera. I've been there for a couple of years now. I still do the Sports Wrap, which is a sports show on WCHE every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. where we talk Philly sports. We do national sports talk as well as, a little bit of Westchester football, anything, big that's happening in Golden Rams athletics down there in Westchester University. So doing that, I'm a producer at 94 WIP, a sports radio station in Philadelphia. I produce there as well as I host as well. So doing that, and the last thing I co-host a baseball podcast with my good buddy Nick Earnshaw. We do that once a week. Exciting time right now. We got baseball season. Technically, it's already started, but
Yeah.
opening day, I guess really more or less in a week. But we're going to do our regular season preview soon. So check that out. Is The Shift on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, anywhere pretty much that you get your podcast. So that's pretty much it for me.
So let's talk about our Phillies. It's been an interesting off season for us. What were your thoughts on the additions of Kepler? We had Luzardo and Romano. I would have loved to see a lot more. I think you kind of sufficed for what you could get, especially losing Estevez and Hoffman. You
Hmm.
kind of had a lot to make up for.
Yeah. So I think a lot of fans were looking for a splash, especially maybe offensively.
Hmm.
I just think the thing, CJ, I was fine with their offseason. I just think that when it comes down to it, it's really the core guys. Like I think a lot of people, wanted Brent Rooker last year. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against getting Brent
Yeah, yeah.
Rooker. Maybe the A's are going to surprise some people this year. They're talking about themselves like they're flying under the radar. Maybe they could, but I don't think was necessarily going to fix anything. I do like the addition of Kepler. I mean, he looked great in spring so far.
Hmm.
We'll see how what actually happens, come the regular season. But CJ, I really think it comes down to the core guys, and they just need to get it together in the playoffs. Like
Hmm.
it's they're paying Trey Turner $300 million for a reason. Look, Kyle Schwarber, while he didn't, exactly hit well in the playoffs, like they're still paying these guys what they're getting paid to do a certain job, and that
Hmm.
is to not only perform in the regular season, but it's to perform in the playoffs. Trey Turner has won a World Series before. Kyle Schwarber has won a World Series before. I know it's not only those two, I mean, it's not only those two. It's Alec Boehm. It's Brandon Marsh, and Brandon Marsh just got the news today that Marsh is going to play every day this year. So I'm very interested to
Interesting.
see what. Yeah, I'm interested to see what because this is going to be a year for Marsh to really prove it that he can
Hmm.
potentially be an everyday guy. Um, yeah, JT. Like I just think these get JT's getting paid a lot, and this is
Yeah.
a year where you're gonna have to extend JT, or you not. Like it comes down to those guys. They're superstars. This lineup is already great. You don't need to add. You didn't need to add a Brent Rooker. I don't think. I didn't think trading for Bregman, getting rid of Bohm,
Hmm.
and maybe getting rid of Stott and all that was going to necessarily fix the problems. It's up to, I think the biggest one, and it's a pretty like one popular one people are talking about, but I think Trey Turner, man, like Trey
Yep.
Turner has to. It just feels like. And I know when all these guys aren't going, it feels like it's just the entire offense isn't going. But
Hmm.
I don't know. There's something about Trey's personality, the way he carries himself. It kind of feels like that reflects how cold the offense goes at
Hmm.
times, and it doesn't feel like this offense is willing to maybe grind out at bats, do what's necessary to maybe don't need to score 10 runs, but to score a couple of runs, a couple more runs than when the offense is going cold, where you can get by, the Mets in the playoffs, whomever it might be, or the Diamondbacks, which that's a whole different story. The
That was
Diamondbacks
horrible.
just feels like CJ, the Diamondbacks is going to be what we look back on if they don't ever win a World Series. This
Yep.
core, like that was the year where you had a chance for the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. But back to
We
the
could have
original
taken the
point.
Rangers immediately.
Yeah, yeah, I think we could have beaten the Rangers. I
Yeah.
don't know if it was a 100% easy thing to do, but I think they would have been the favorites and they could have won that series.
Hmm.
But just going back to the original point, CJ, like the Trey Turner's the big X factor. I don't think they needed to go out and necessarily do a lot of things. I know people are upset at Dave Dombrowski. People are upset at Sam Fold for how things have unfolded, but I just don't know what else you would necessarily want them to do. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I thought the offseason was okay overall. I like the Luzardo signing, and it looks a lot better right now,
Hmm.
just because you get the news on Ranger. So yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of questions raised just in that. I'll start with the Ranger Suarez situation. Obviously, a little hurt now. Talking about possibly Taiwan coming back into the rotation for that. Do you see Ranger being a starting pitcher by the end of the season? We've had a lot of talks that maybe he gets bumped to the bullpen, or he could be a trade piece at the deadline because we are going to have so much strength in that rotation.
Yeah, so I guess maybe a little bit of this is me just I was so excited,
Hmm.
CJ, for this rotation. Like they had they had the potential to be better than the 2011 rotation. Like
Yeah.
they really did. They really did. I know maybe that 2011 rotation had obviously legendary names like Doc and obviously in this city and Cole Hamels and Cliff
Hmm.
Lee, but 1 through 5, there were really no holes. If it was going to be, Lazardo and Ranger 4 or 5, however you want to mix it up, it was going to be 1 through 5, an incredible rotation. But I don't think we're overreacting. Like this, it's not like Ranger has necessarily like a different injury. It's not like this is
Hmm.
some small thing, and like it is. Technically, Rob Thompson said that it isn't as bad as his back injury that he had last year, but it's still necessarily it's the same thing though. Like he had the back injury and now he's having problems with the back again. It's not like it's something
Hmm.
different. It's not like it's his I mean elbow would be different. That'd be a whole different story. But you get the point. Like it's the same thing. So and the season hasn't even started yet.
Exactly.
We're not even started yet. Rangers throw not even 2 innings in spring training. I think like it's I don't know, man. I think at this point where I am with Ranger is that depending on how bad the injury, if it's small, we're supposed to get an update, within probably the next day or so, where how bad this injury is for Ranger. If it is not, if it's small, I'd be willing to give him a little time and then come back and potentially be in this rotation. But if it lingers and it's not looking great, I think you gotta let him come back. And when he does come back, you gotta throw him to the bullpen.
Hmm.
And I know we don't love Taiwan Walker right now, but I know not great timing, not great timing. He had
Not
his
at
worst
all.
outing of the spring. But look, Zach Wheeler and Luzardo have also had bad outings like that this spring.
That's
Uh,
true.
so I understand where we're at with Taiwan. He had a bad 2024. He had the shoulder injury, had the finger injury, which was, which as a pitcher isn't a great injury to have with your finger, especially when his best pitch is his splitter, and
Hmm.
you need to you need to be healthy in order to throw that the best way that you can. That's your best pitch. Um, I'm I think if Taiwan can just be what he was 2 years ago for the Phillies, you're just at the fifth starter. You're not
Right.
asking for him to. I know it's crazy. Gave him a 4 year, $72 million contract. It's almost like Bryce Huff with the Eagles. You're just asking him to come back and be
Yep.
a
To
five
show
sack
up.
guy. You know what I mean? Taiwan, I'm just asking you to be average, and that
Yep.
is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I think maybe a tiny bit of that is depending on Lazardo if he's able to be really good because I'm cool with a 1 through 4. That's all guys that can be
Hmm.
ones and twos on any other team. I'm cool with that. If it's that and you have Taiwan be an average okay major league starter, there's nothing wrong with that. I think we got a little spoiled last year with how it was in the first 2 months of the season, where it was Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez, Ranger, performing at a Cy Young rate, and then you had Spencer Turnbull, who was really good.
Yeah.
Maybe we got a little spoiled. Maybe a little bit of his. I get it. Taiwan Walker left off the postseason roster in 2023. Doesn't have the personality that we love in Philadelphia. I totally understand that. But if he's able to come back and just be Taiwan Walker, what he was a couple of years ago, and maybe have Ranger slide in the bullpen, maybe that's okay. And then you'll
Yeah.
have Andrew Painter come up towards the end of the year. I think a lot of people maybe want him now, especially the way the news is with Ranger, that
Hmm.
we'd want Painter to slide into the rotation. I don't think that's in their plans though. I think the plan is to have him come up in July, August, and to him be a part of the bullpen, which I'm fine with. But maybe if things are progressing really well and Painter's looking really good, which he's already looked good in the Arizona Fall League, and he just threw live BP recently. Maybe Painter does come up in the rotation. And I would look as a Phillies fan, as a pitching guy, I would love to see Painter up
Hmm.
and being a starting pitcher this year. But I also would like to see things handled the right way because we've seen it in the past with Philadelphia teams, even the Phillies, guys not handled the right way. Spencer Howard wasn't handled the best.
Hmm.
Scott Kingery, a little different story, but um, yeah, I think we'll be okay though. Again, I don't think the problem will be a part of like the rotation. I know I'm going off on a
Hmm.
bit of a tangent here, CJ,
All
but
good.
I don't think this is like going to be like a huge deal. Maybe as far as maybe the trade deadline goes, and maybe Rangers' possibility of resigning here, I do think
Hmm.
that hurts those chances because look, I think maybe there's potential they could trade Ranger at the deadline to get another bullpen piece to maybe get another outfield piece
Hmm.
depending on how things work out this year. But we'll see. But not
Yeah.
not the best news right now with Ranger.
Now, it's staying on that rotation. We've looked a lot at Zach Wheeler as a possible Cy Young candidate. We've
Mm.
seen it for a few years now. We've had it with Nola, and he's come up just short. I don't know if it's a homer pick, but we really do think Zach Wheeler could make that Cy Young push this year.
Yeah, you know what's funny, man? Like the 2 years that he could have won it. I do think the other two guys were deserving. Like
Yeah.
I know it, like if you look at 2021, I think there was an argument for Wheeler, but there was a big argument for Burns too.
Hmm.
I think a lot of us are here in the Philly area, and we're hearing all the noise of how fans feel here, and I totally get that, understood. But Corbin Burns had a phenomenal year that year. Didn't have the bulk of innings that Wheeler had, but still everything else, the ERA, the FIP, everything like that was pretty incredible. Last year, like Chris Sale, it was a pick 'em, but I was okay with the Sale pick. And maybe again, as someone who has admired Chris Sale like the last decade that he's thrown, uh, maybe a little bit deserving. I mean, he had a bunch of top three, top five Cy Young
Hmm.
seasons, in his heyday with the White Sox and early on with the Red Sox. So understand that. But as far as this year, I mean, Wheeler's got to win one, right? He's got
You
to
would
win
think
one.
he's got
He's
it.
got to win one. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
We'll see how long how long his prime's going to be, but he's got to win one. He's got
You
to.
would think.
I don't
Really
know. Who
solidify
knows?
himself.
Maybe someone will come out of nowhere this year and it'll just steal it from him again. I hope not. I'm
Could
not
be.
trying to put that out into the air,
Paul
but
Skeens is a real top option there. But
I
I don't know
mean,
if he'll have the innings. I think
well,
the
we'll
way he
see. I mean,
throws, I don't know if they're going to be able to really last that long.
you don't think? Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't think he should have won Rookie of the Year last year.
No,
That's
I
just
think
my
that was all
opinion.
publicity thing.
Oh yeah, like you can't. So come on, man. You can't have 23 starts in the season to be
Hmm.
considered for an award. There are guys that had
Right.
put in
That's
more
like
of the
Embiid
work.
winning MVP.
Yeah, but you don't think Embiid won what? You
I don't
don't
think
think
he'll ever
Embiid
touch the
deserved it?
court again, but
But you don't think he deserved his MVP one?
I think he did. But I think a lot of it comes down to Jokic had it so many years in a row.
That's true. I mean, honestly, if we're being honest, like I know we're going
Jokic could have won
basketball
the
here.
last
Well,
10 years.
Jokic should honestly like I know SGA seems like the pick this year, but like I think he
Mhm.
should win this year. Have you looked at
Yeah,
Jokic's numbers? He's averaging
they're
a
insane.
triple double.
Yeah, it's insane.
Like, I mean, this if there's ever a season he should win, it should be this year.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but
That could be a whole other
Hopefully Wheeler,
episode.
yeah, but hopefully Wheels gets one. It would be
Yeah.
I think who wrote an article recently? It was somebody on MLB.com. It might have been Mike Petrillo, and he wrote about Wheeler potentially being on a Hall of Fame.
Wow.
projectile, which is true. It depends on how his. I mean, he's what 35, I think,
Hmm.
somewhere around there. So
He's coming up on the end of
I mean,
his career too.
yeah, like
He
I
only
mean,
has
look,
another year or two.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I mean, Verlander's somebody who was still great into his late 30s. I mean, could that be Wheeler? Who knows? I mean, Wheeler's
Yeah.
been his best years have been in his early 30s. So hopefully Wheeler gets at least, one Cy Young, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to this lineup, as you said, you weren't too surprised with not making that many moves, just given what Dombrowski already brought to this team. JT's coming up the end of his career. I know he'll have to have an extension. Marshawn now moving up as the backup catcher. I love
Mm.
that move because I think Stubbs was really just here for the vibes and not a solid MLB player. So I think having that bat on the bench will be huge. As you said, Trey Turner really has to have a prove it year of why he got $300 million because he's played just like any average shortstop. And Harper, another guy who's now going to be a Gold Glove perennial first baseman, I believe. And can he get back to his 2022 MVP ways?
Yeah, so are you just asking me like how do I think the lineup's going to fare? Well,
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
How are
well,
these big
yeah,
bats going to fit back in
yeah.
here?
So again, like, I think the way the lineup's going to play out, I do think it's going to be Turner leading off, be Harper in the two hole, Bohm, Schwarber, say Castellanos, Real Muto, and totally understand what you're saying about the Marchand thing too and
Hmm.
Stubbs, and I want to see Marchand give it a shot because I mean, look, love Stubbs. Like, again, like you said,
Yeah.
vibes guy, players like him, clubhouse that they really love him, but I think it was the right move. The only thing with I mean, let's be honest though, I'm not going to be surprised if Garrett Stubbs is back up here because Marshawn can't stay healthy. But
Yeah.
hopefully, knock on wood, he's able to stay healthy. I think we talked about Max Kepler earlier. I think if Kepler can be what he was for the Twins a couple of years ago, I'm not asking for. I think the days of Kepler hitting 36 home runs like he did in 2019 are behind him. But I I think if Kepler is able to be a good like 20 to 25 home run guy, an above average OPS, like I think it's gonna be big for the bottom of this lineup. I
Hmm.
really do. So I like I like the lineup. I think the lineup's gonna be good enough that when they get hot, they get hot.
Hmm.
And they'll be good enough to win 90 to 95 games this year. I think I still think, by the way, I think the Phillies are the favorite of the division. I think
Really?
that a lot of people are talking about the Braves. I think the Mets are, and I think
The Mets are
I'm
gonna
t
met. We've
yeah,
discussed the
well,
Mets are
no,
gonna
no, no.
met.
I think the Mets will probably make the playoffs, but I don't know. The National League's tough.
Yeah.
National League's tough. So I think maybe the Mets will be competing for that third wild card spot. I don't think though that they even thought that necessarily when they signed Soto that they were going to be competing for a World Series this year.
Hmm.
So for them, they're thinking long term. So we'll see with the Mets, but I think it comes down to the Phillies and Braves in the division. I think it's all about who stays healthy,
I think the
and I think
Phillies need a hot start given the Braves
yeah,
injuries. If the Phillies can get off to a
right,
hot start, kind of
right,
buffer that.
right. Acuna's out till May.
Hmm.
Murphy's out. Um,
Strider should still be out for a little bit,
Right. I bet
but he
did
did
he just
spring
make a
training. He
he
did.
just made a spring training start.
Hmm.
So um yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I like the Phillies over the Braves for the rotation. I think we're looking at like 93 to 95 wins for the Phillies, somewhere around there, maybe leaning towards more towards like 94 to 95. And then like Braves like 91, 92 wins. And I think it'll come down to like the last couple of weeks of the season. But I do think it'll be because of the rotation, even though
Hmm.
I understand, the Ranger injury, but we'll see as time goes along. Um, bullpen's interesting. Bullpen's interesting.
Very.
I'm, Strom, he'll looks like he'll be ready for opening day,
Hmm.
but I'm interested because if Romano can be what he was for the Blue Jays years before the injury, I think that's big. Alvarado, can he be consistent?
And accurate.
Kirk, yeah, right, right. And Kirk, I mean, Alvarado's looked good so far this spring.
Hmm.
Hopefully, that's a sign of good things to come. Kirkering, I love Orion Kirkering.
Hmm.
Again, can he stay consistent throughout the season? He had a great first full season in the majors. But yeah, go back to the lineup though. I think everything put together, if the lineup will do what the lineup's supposed to do, I think like 94 to 95 wins somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's about where we had them. But looking at
Okay.
this outfield now, we have a complete mess of bats that you could throw in there. As you said, Marsh going to be starting now. You have Kepler. You're going to have Castellanos. Do you think anybody else moves in and out of here? Obviously, Rojas has been a name. Not a
Yeah.
huge fan of Rojas, what he can do at the plate. Obviously, a solid glove. You then have
Yep.
Racones, who played well in
Right.
spring training. You have Wes Wilson, who I'm a fan of. And then you got, who's the last one there? Oh, Justin Crawford. Do you think any of them move in
S-
or out or?
So I think Crawford's a year away.
Mhm.
I don't get me wrong. Like Crawford made a insane catch yesterday in the outfield. Like I feel like every time Crawford gets an opportunity to show what kind of player he can be, whether it's the futures game last year, whether it's in spring this year, whatever it is, like I feel like he has shown his skill set that he already has and the player that he could be, maybe better than his dad. I don't know.
No.
But as far as the outfield goes, again, it looks like they're giving Marsh the everyday job. Kepler, Castellanos. I like the way the outfield's set up. Um, Rincones probably a year or two away.
Hmm.
Probably had a really. I mean, the kid's
Hell of a
got
bat.
insane. He's hitting some dingers this spring. So I do like the way though the outfield's set up right now. Is there a possibility it could go really wrong? Like, yeah. But I don't know. For some reason I feel good about Castellanos. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's coming off the
I
playoffs
think
last year.
playoff Castellanos doesn't get enough respect. He's
Yeah,
played very
well,
well in the playoffs.
yeah. He's had his
He
moments.
saved that Braves series
He did.
the first year. He
Yeah,
had the back-to-back home run, two home run games against the Braves following.
right.
He's
Yeah.
come up.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. Again, I would probably lean more towards on the side of that the outfield will be good enough for this lineup still going to be really good.
Hmm.
But there's definitely a chance that it could fall flat on its face. But hopefully it's not that.
Are you a Rojas guy?
I love his glove. Love what he can do
Okay.
in the outfield. I mean, it's like Hall of Fame glove type of
Hmm.
potential.
I was a Ben Revere guy for a long time, so
Yeah.
he
I think
never
all
had a
I,
bat either.
right. I don't know. He had a good Dominican league. He hasn't been bad in spring either. I don't know. I mean, I guess he's going to come off the bench.
Mhm.
I hopefully. I mean, here's how I'm looking at it with Rojas. Look, get your opportunities off the bench. Maybe with Marsh, Kepler, whoever needs a day off, you get your chance and show that you've improved. And that's
Mhm.
the only way it can go. And but hopefully, in a way, hopefully Marsh proves himself this year, so we don't have to worry about that. Because I'm
Right.
totally okay with maybe Rojas just being in games late for defensive reasons.
Mhm.
So I'm totally okay with that. So hopefully the outfield and Marsh is doing what they're supposed to do. So Rojas, we don't have to worry about Rojas and his
Mhm.
bat.
Yeah. All right, so last thing I got here for you. How
Hmm.
long do you think that this Phillies core has with the Harper, the Turner? And then do you think we're built well for the future, or is this kind of a we need to win now situation?
So I think it's a little bit of both. So I think they have, depending on, I'd say they have like 3 years right now with this core. I'd say 3 years. I'd give it until 2027, 2028. And all these guys, they're not like super old. I think we're making a little too much about their age. Like I understand it. They're gonna be there very soon, but they're still in their prime years. Like Turner, Harper, Schwarber, they're all in their early 30s. It's not like
Hmm.
old. It's still like towards the end of your prime. So I think that the core is there with those guys that I just named. Nola, Wheeler, they're signed, at least through Nola a little different. He just got the extension. Wheeler next couple of years. I think with this time frame right now, with the guys like Wheeler, Nola, Harper, Turner, uh, um, Schwarber, they should extend.
Hmm.
And they will. I think those guys. I think we should at least have a chance to be a playoff team and contend.
Yeah.
I think we'll see this year. We'll see how they fare in the playoffs, and hopefully we're looking at a team that can at least break through and get back potentially to the World Series. It's gonna be hard, man. The Dodgers
Hmm.
are really good, and
Yeah.
the National League is really good.
Hmm.
So again, I'm praying, CJ, that we're not looking back at that Arizona series in
Yep.
2023 saying like that was the year if we could do it.
Yeah.
But I think the window's like 3 years, and then I kind of like what they've done as far as the farm system goes. I'm glad that they're not like just shipping off guys like they did in 2011 through 2014 for big name guys, which I understand. I understood at
Hmm.
that point you were trying to win then, but I still think they're hopefully they can do the Braves thing or other teams like the Guardians or the Rays where you can win now or try to win now, give your best to win now, but also build for the future. I think they're doing that
Hmm.
in a good way. I really like Miller. I really like Crawford. I really like Painter. We talked about Rincones already. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I like the way things are going. Maybe for the future, we'll see, man. Hopefully by the end of this year, we're talking about a World Series
Broad
championship,
Street.
and if not, maybe this team changes their identity a little bit, and we see them, really grinding it out in the playoffs to really, change who they are a little bit. So yeah,
All right. Well, thanks, Francisco, for coming on. Appreciate you, and we'll definitely have you on again.
yeah. Thanks for bringing me on, man.
Of course.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you hitting me up, and this is fun.